Hello, my name is Ivy Nozaki. I have decided to create a full-stack banking application for my Capstone project. This is my piggy bank. First, I want to talk about how I deployed my application and where I decided to host them. I hosted my front end on Netlify and the back end with Heroku and the database with MongoDB Atlas. First, I had to create an account with all of these services. For Netlify, I simply dragged my build folder into a new project and waited for Netlify to deploy my application. Next, I changed the randomized URL to fit the naming convention outlined for our capstone. For Heroku, I downloaded the Heroku CLI and initiated a Git repo in the server directory and pushed all of the files to Heroku. Once Heroku builds and deploys the app, I can open the server through the URL provided by Heroku. For MongoDB, I chose a free tier and selected the US West server connected to AWS. Then I created a database called Fullstack app, and within there, I created a collection for users and review. For this application, I did not use Docker. Next, I want to talk about the challenges I came across when trying to deploy my application. For the backend, I had to make sure that all of the routes in our fetch requests are pointing to Heroku and was working. There was a lot of back and forth in the deployment stage of just troubleshooting. At first, everything worked after combing through the auth context APIs and updating them with the right URL path, but then I found another issue with the reviews as they were not being pulled. I found that it was the only API outside of the main auth context file. As for my front end, I had a lot of issues mainly due to the build production differing from the development production. Everything would look good and work in development mode, but as soon as I ran the command for npm run build, it changed certain aspects of my application in that build process. That was another set of back and forth troubleshooting, just trying to figure out which CSS stylings were being applied in the final build. I decided to omit certain styling and manually updating my SVGs or images to simplify the styling being composed in the build process. Cores, or cross-origin resource sharing, were restricting our front end from communicating with our back end. It changed our API path and was ignoring the proxy. Basically, just watched a bunch of YouTube videos and Googled for solutions. Now I'd like to discuss the features I added to my banking application. First, I decided to have the sign up to create a user profile. Most banking applications have their clients create profiles in which they are able to access their account or accounts. Once the user is logged in, they will be able to create an account. The users will be able to name the account and place an initial balance to complete the create account process. I added a services page to let users know more about the bank. Logged-in users can also leave reviews which can be viewed on the homepage by guest or logged-in users. Both the services page and the reviews were added to my application as filler content and to increase user acceptability. Another feature added were the navigation icons for logged-in users. It lets users know that they are logged in, and it also gives them the link to the profile page, which is only accessible for those logged in. There is also a logout icon, which again is only accessible for those logged in. I had fun creating this application and all the additional features, but I came across some issues. Because I was aiming for a more simple UI design, I had trouble coming up with content to make my application look full but not cluttered. I also had trouble displaying certain data. The profile page has a total funds, which is the total balance of all of the accounts. It was hard to get them to add up, so I had to set up a field in the database to have the total balance. Any changes to any of the account balances will automatically update that total. Another challenge was ensuring that the withdrawals or deposits were being made to the right account. The profile page shows all the accounts on cards, and clicking on the deposit or withdrawal buttons on those cards should prompt a deposit or withdrawal for that specific account only. For some troubleshooting, a few Google searches and YouTube tutorials allowed me to get the application to run how I wanted it to. Now for my reflection. If I had to start my code today, I don't think I would restructure the components differently. I restructured the components multiple times throughout the build, so I'm content with the front-end architecture. If anything, I would change the order of what to focus on. I would set up my backend of the application first and make sure everything works properly, and then complete the front-end portion of the application. The additional features I would build are to have a settings page for logged-in users. They'll be able to access some basic setting options. I'd also like to add a toggle switch for light and dark modes and create the application to be mobile friendly. Overall, I like how my application is in its current build, as it is set up in a way where I can keep building upon it, but also the current deployment doesn't seem too lacking. It is, as I would like to think, at a good midway stage, but I really hope you all enjoy this application as well.